I'm doing another mile post of the V Twin Life. We talk motorcycles, powered by those V Twins, why we enjoy it, what they mean to us, and just why we enjoy the open road. V Twin Life is brought to you by CrashIncClothing.com, also known as Crash Inc. on the World Wide Web. Man, Brad is on a lot of stuff. You want to get some merchandise, you want to get parts, you want to upgrade stuff on your bike. He is a dealer for a lot of great companies, so check out CrashIncClothing.com and see what they got for you. Now, we got Wild Ass. You want to add some comfort to your ass? Man, Wild Ass has got you covered. They've got something you like. Use that promo code DWoods. Get yourself free shipping and put that ass in comfort. Can't forget Custom Dynamics, leading the world in LED lighting and LED technology. Man, these got some great stuff. You want to light up your life at nighttime? You want to be seen during the day? Hey, check out Custom Dynamics. Can't forget Lexan. These guys got some great comm units. I just got the new G16s. Man, you want to talk quality? These things are awesome. Loudspeakers, plus they got some air pumps, small ones you keep in your bike. They're ready to go. So check out Lexan. So now, let's get to another milepost of the V-Twin Life. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. We are at milepost 112. We got the insane stunt rider, photography guy, and dude loves it, riding, Chase Setzer. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me, man. Real quick, I do want to address the stunt rider thing. I've had that kind of said a few times, and I wouldn't really identify as a stunt rider. I do a couple wheelies here and there, but I think calling me a stunt rider would be a disservice to real stunt riders.
Well, so, if you're doing wheelies and shit, you're pulling some stunts. That's that's the way I see it. So, I've seen some little videos you pulling wheelies across intersections. So it's good enough in my book, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I'd take it as a compliment, but I just wanted to say, just for my stunt friends, if they see this, this guy ain't a fucking stunt rider.
So, I get you. I got it.
I'll put it out there. But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for taking time out and coming hanging out for a little while and sharing some adventures, some stories, and how you got into it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure.
So how did you get into it? How did you find motorcycles?
Oh man, of course my dad was a huge proponent into it. But I mean, I grew up around just like motorcycles kind of coming in and out of my life, right? So my dad had a motorcycle for a good chunk of my childhood, and then it was a Honda Shadow 1100, right? And that went away after a while. I think I was like 7 or 8, right? And then from then until like right after I graduated high school, there wasn't really too much motorcycling going on. Had an uncle, Cody. He was really big into motorcycles, and so I had heard about them a bunch, but I just wasn't super interested into it. And then it was like my cousin got a motorcycle. I'm 19. My dad gets a motorcycle. My uncle gets a motorcycle, and then I was like, man, I really want a motorcycle, So then I picked up a Sportster 883, and then I was hooked. That was it. That's it. Now it would have been cheaper and probably better for my mental health if I got into drugs instead. But here I am. A motorcycle addict.
Hey, but it's fun, I mean, you get to enjoy a lot of stuff, and you get to see, life through a different perspective, I guess you could say.
1000%. And because of them, I've met almost all of my friends now. I've met through motorcycles and social media, and most of my top life experiences have happened on a seat of a motorcycle. So, and that's just been the last 3-4 years. So,
hey, even Riot says you're a stunt rider, so
Well, there it is, set in stone. All right, man. Yeah.
No, it's cool. It's been fun to follow your adventures, but I think, maybe a good way, try to maybe break out of your dad's shadow, do your own thing. Yeah. I mean, going on rides and breaking down, you got to go your own way, man. Don't follow that line.
Yeah, my dad, he does everything right, and that's just fucking boring, Yeah. I really like adding the fear and high nerves to every trip that I go on. But
got a point.
It makes for good stories. Not great times while it's happening, but really good stories. So
yeah. No, that's true. It is fun, and I mean, breakdowns suck, but you can laugh about it and still enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they suck at the moment, but just like we were bullshitting last night and earlier today, it's like it adds to the adventure, adds to the story. It is what it is, and shit happens, but we just roll on and keep going.
Exactly. If you got like a backup plan or a solution to whatever problem you're dealing with, then all you can do from then is just smile, as you wait for the solution to unfold. If you know how to fix a problem that you're having, and you're still just pissed off about it, then you're doing it wrong. You're taking it too seriously, you know?
That's
So,
very true. I like how you put that.
but,
Laugh about it, and or be fortunate enough, if you're riding with other people, it's like you're stuck there, but maybe they're going like, I've had instance where a buddy of mine's going to get the parts. I'm not cool. I'm just gonna sit here on the side of the highway at the gas station and chill out and wait. And
yeah. That's the hard part for me, right? So I just recently went to Paris, or tried to go to Paris, Texas. What was it, Friday night? And it was a solo trip, and I broke down, and it was just like kind of all like chuckles and giggles from me. It is what it is. But if I was with a group of people, I'd have felt pretty differently, because it would have been a burden and it would have been completely my fault. And that would have sucked, but it still would have made for a good story.
yeah.
So going with a group, it's a little bit different for me. I feel much worse about it, but I'm still not going to be pissed off throwing stuff. Of course, everybody loses their cool every once in a while on the side of a road, but for the most part,
Yeah.
gotta,
Well, it's like Rice says, no one remembers a perfect day. That's a good way to put it.
yeah. Oh yeah. That sounds boring. Perfect days where everything goes according to plan. I don't even remember them.
Yeah. It's highly overrated.
Mm-hmm. That's why I try to keep it interesting. Do all my own work on my bike and forget bolts here and there, stuff like that. So.
Hey, no, it just means you're doing it better than the engineers. You don't need all those bolts. If you got a few left over, you're doing it better.
I'm saying saving some money, saving some bolts. That way, whenever I lose more bolts, I got some extra left over anyway. So,
hey, just thinking it's a weight savings. You're dropping the weight a little bit.
Precisely, performance bagger stuff. Really helps me get to those twisties. So
very true. So I'm not sure a lot of people here in the side chat know, but so what are you riding right now?
I'm on a 16 Road Glide. It's got it's blue with silver bags, because I thought a lot of people thought that I did that because I thought it looked cool, and I don't. I loved the blue that came on the bike, but one of my bags fell off because it had the old clip-in style, and a ton of people told me like, you need to change the way that those bags go in, and I was like, that's ridiculous. The reason that people's bags are falling off with the clip-in style attachment hardware is just because they're drunkenly putting their bags on. But then 3 months after I had my bags on without touching them, the one just fell off one day. So then now I have silver bags because it's all I could afford at the time. So,
dude, that happened to my when he bought his brand new one, his 19. He got literally 2 blocks down his road from his house, hung a left, and the bag fell off and bounced down the road next to him.
That's so upsetting.
Yeah.
And, I didn't even notice till I got home that one of my bags had fallen off. I had left work, and I worked like 15 minutes from the house at the time. I left work, I got home, and I was like, I went to get something from my bag. I normally just like don't even look at my bike, turn it off, and just walk inside. But I needed to get something. I turned around, and I was like, where the fuck is part of my bike at? I'm missing something here. So then I went back to work, and it was just like sprawled out all over the road. I had a few GoPros in there, some batteries and stuff like that, and it was just trashed, So then it was like I rode around for like 2 weeks with no bags. Really looked a little rough.
What a similar happened to Hayden with his V-Star. He's got the leather hard bags. He was going down to Silverdale down the highway and didn't realize that the bag opened up, so he lost his liner, the registration, some other paperwork that he had in the saddlebag gone.
Oh man, that sucks. Yeah, I mean, it's like the saddlebags are behind you. You can't see them in the mirrors. You just kind of got to hope that somebody sees them and tells you, or just really make sure that your stuff is tied down. But I don't do a very good job of that. So, yeah,
it's one of those, little life lessons, I guess you could call them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, so I got the 16 Road Glide. It's an ultra. I've got 70,000 miles, and I've done a bunch of stuff. Changed a bunch of stuff, and then changed a bunch of stuff back to stock, changed a bunch of stuff. The ultras of that year came with liquid cooled heads. This is like one of the things that I did to the bike that I really, really, really liked. That turned out really good. I needed to get an exhaust bolt out of one of my heads, and I had liquid cooled heads at the time, so I switched it over to air cooled heads, and now the bike's like way lighter in the front because I don't have those big radiators. But it is a little harder in traffic, unfortunately. So I did that right before Gavin's tour too, when we went all the way through one of the hottest states in America at the hottest time of year on a bike that is no longer liquid cooled. Did that just in time for that. So that wasn't too great, but at least we knew how to take the motorcycle lane. Didn't have to wait in traffic too much.
So how was that ride? That must have been one heck of an adventure. I mean, I had fun following it on, social media, all the stuff you guys did. And, like I say, you and your dad did some amazing photography, and the photos and everything, and I can't wait to see the film when it gets put together. But how was that trip for you?
Oh my God. Like it's probably, I'd say it's probably my top favorite motorcycle event story, motorcycling journey that I've been on. It's probably my favorite one so far. That was such a blast. It was a completely unique experience, unlike anything I've ever done, and just the title of it, right? It's like we're going, what is it? It was 4 or 5 of us. It was 5 bikes. I think it was 4 bikes.
5. Riot, Hop, Kim, you, and Jason. When had Wrong Way tagging along for a little bit, and
we had a few people tag along, which was really cool. But yeah, it was like we were taking 5 bikes along all over, like I said, one of the hottest states in America at the time, around the hottest time of year, 3,700 miles, 8 days. Most people who ride Harleys aren't going to do anything like that. And then also, we're taking an 8-year-old with DMD. Just saying that we're going to attempt that was really cool, and then finishing it was just unlike anything else I've ever done. So that was incredible to be a part of. And then I'm so excited for the documentary. We're doing it piece by piece. Like we're doing like one segment at a time, and each segment I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. So that's very cool.
That's awesome. What do you think the time frame is for it to get finished? A few more months?
I'm not too sure. Jason's really leading the charge on it. He's kind of just giving me like the smaller tasks to do, stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say a few more months is a safe zone.
I can only imagine how much hours of footage between all you guys got from that. It's got to be just mind-boggling.
Man, the camera's almost never turned off. We were just constantly changing and charging batteries the whole time. My dad had like this giant portable battery. Like it was maybe this big, sitting in his trunk, and we always just had batteries hooked up to it. So yeah, like I said, I mean, the cameras never really turned off, and then everybody had GoPros on them, and then me and my dad had the 2 actual cameras, and then my dad had a drone and a few other little small pocket cameras and stuff like that. So definitely hours of footage, days of footage, but we've gone through most of it, and we got some pretty cool stuff that I'm really, really excited to share. So
that'd be cool.
That was really cool, and I really hope that we can express the whole feeling of the trip through that documentary, because the trip was more than just like a trip. It was a feeling, every day it was a completely different feel. And that's something that I'm really hoping that we can articulate really well in the documentary.
I love how you put that. That is super cool, because that kind of in a way opened up, question I had is, how is moto traveling, changing in any ways, when it comes to traveling by motorcycle?
What do you mean? Can you repeat the question?
How has, moto traveling on a motorcycle changed things for you in any ways?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it's my favorite thing to do on a motorcycle. And I forgot that for a while, because I got really ate up with the stunt stuff. I was really trying to wheelie so hard for I don't know, 6 months. And I completely forgot that my favorite thing to do on a motorcycle by far is travel. And so just before that trip, my dad and I did a 1K, and it was a reminder that I was a little nervous about my bike breaking down, and I hated that. I hated being nervous, because I love traveling so much on a motorcycle. So the fact that I did some things to my bike that made it harder to travel on it was it was a real eye opener to do that 1K. And then of course to do the Gavin's trip, I was luckily the only bike, I think, that didn't make it into the service department during the trip. But after the trip, it was like we pulled into Horny Toad, and it was like my bike was in shambles. It was just falling apart. My air cleaner was coming off. It was puking oil. A lot of people didn't know about that. And then I lost an exhaust bracket on like day 4, and it was just eating, like it was just destroying that exhaust. I was really nervous about losing another like breaking another exhaust stud. And then I had a chain at the time. The chain was just eating away my primary, and then that caused more problems than Sturgis. But which eventually led to me riding on the back of my dad's bike for most of Sturgis, which was upsetting.
Yeah, that was a great question. Amy wanted to, point out is, how was it riding on the back of your dad's bike?
Uncomfy. I mean, like the seat was comfortable. But he didn't really hold back, he wasn't like, all right, Chase isn't really familiar with being a passenger, I'm just gonna like take it easy for him. I mean, it was just typical lane splitting kind of stuff through Sturgis. And it was like what's funny for me is like I can be a bit vibrant with like like the stuff that I wear, the way that I act, stuff like that. And I like having a big burly bike because it contrasts that, So I'm wearing like a bunch of colorful clothes. That's like I'm wearing like joggers and like colorful socks and like this like really pretty shirt, and you're riding on a man's bike, and it just completely ruins the whole vibe, So that kind of sucked a little, but yeah, 10 out of 10 wouldn't recommend. I don't really want to ride on the back of that guy's bike again. So here's to making my bike a little more reliable from here on.
Oh, saw game was on point. Your dad says.
Always keep the socks on point. Always. A lot of that trip, I was using the socks that I had bought for the Gavin tour. Normally, whenever I'm doing these trips, I like always underpack just because I'm like, oh, I'll figure something out on the road, and then it's always like a pain in the ass when I have to figure something out. Like on Gavin's tour, I only brought one pair of pants because I hate packing.
For 8 days, 110 plus degrees. I only need one pair. It'll be fine. They'll be sweaty. They'll dry.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think I packed like 2 pair, but it was like one pair I had a rip in one, so I had to throw them away. So I only had one pair of pants like as the trip was going on, and we didn't have as many washing opportunities as I thought. So then it was like day like 3 or 4, I was scrambling to like buy pants. I was going to a Walmart like every other day because I kept buying pants that didn't fit right. Kept like accidentally buying jeans because I hate trying stuff on in the store.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, these look like my size, and then I'd leave and like go to put them on, and it's like, looks like I'm wearing another day of dirty pants because these aren't gonna work.
Skinny jeans, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that is too funny. Well, then after that one, I think you and some buddies, you trailered it up to Tail the Dragon.
Oh man, that was a blast. So after Gavin's tour, me and my buddy Chris and Trey, we had a plan with like a few, like a good handful of guys. We were all going to go to Colorado. It was going to be like a weekend trip. I didn't know it. They had planned it out for like, I think like a year or something like that. And then I got invited like maybe like right before we did Gavin's tour. It was like, hey, like you coming to this? And then I was like, yeah, for sure. And then they were like, are you sure? Because like nobody's flaking out of this. Like this is going to be a for real. Like if you say you're going, you're going. I was like, I'm going, dude. I got it. Don't worry about me. I don't really flake out of stuff. I'm really a yes man, and I hate missing out on stuff. I got FOMO like something fierce. So I'll be there. So then it was like maybe 3 days before the group went from like 10 people to like 3. It was me and my buddy Chris and Trey, and it was a fantastic trip. But since it was just us 3, instead of going to Colorado, we were like, well, I mean, Tail of the Dragon's like same distance. Let's just run up to Tennessee. Me and Trey have never done Tail of the Dragon, so we did it. We ripped it. It was a blast. The picture that you were using for some of the cover art for this episode, where I'm like all the way leaned over. A lot of people don't really know that was a screen grab from a video, and I never posted the video because I look like an idiot. Because in that video it's like a mild turn, and Trey's got his phone out. Trey and Chris are both pretty. They're better riders than I am for sure. And so it's like every once in a while I'll catch up with them, and I'm like, oh, I must be shredding. I'm catching these guys. I don't have as much clearance either, so it's a little harder for me to keep up with them. And so it's like if I'm catching up to them, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then I'll see like Trey has his phone out, and I'm like giving everything I got to catch up to them, and he's like still almost about to walk away from me. So then Trey has his phone out, and I see his phone out. I don't get on camera very much, so we're going around this like mild curve, and then I was like, I'm going to give it hell. So I like dipped it down really fast, but that was like way too much lean for the curve. So it was like in the video, I'm just like, yeah. They're just like back upright. Like I think I scraped in the video, but it was like Trey just scream grabbed it. He was like, nobody has to see the rest of the video. So, but that was a fantastic trip. That was, like I said, my first time doing Tail of the Dragon. My bike broke down on the Dragon the 3rd time we did it. My shift linkage worked its way off of in between the primary and the transmission. That's where the shift linkage like worked off of the rod, the shift rod. Mm-hmm. And then there's a snap ring that kind of holds everything in place. That little shift rod holds it in place. and we're going to put everything back on, and this little rod damn near falls into my transmission. And so we were like, okay, before this turns into a really big catastrophe where we have to like take my whole primary off of my bike in the middle of the Dragon, I'm just going to get from here to the end of the, we was like almost at the beginning of the Dragon. We were like, we just got to get Chase from here to the end of the Dragon, and he'll just stay in first gear the whole time. So, and that's what happened. I had to do the Dragon in first gear. There's pictures of me. I don't remember if I posted them, but there's a couple of pictures that like the professional photographers were taking, and I'm just like holding my shift linkage in my hand, just like, super big, hazards are on and shit. People honking behind me.
No, noticing a pattern with the breakdowns.
Yeah, unfortunately, but hopefully, I mean, I'm really working on that pattern coming to an end. Especially after the Gavin's tour, and like I said, doing that 1K with my dad was just like, it was just a real eye opener that I made my bike unreliable whenever I was trying to be all stunner boy. So, I got carried away. The whole goal of my bike was always like, since I got it, because Sea Bear was like one of the big reasons I got a Road Glide. Watching that stuff online, I was like, maybe one day I could do some cool stuff like that. But still tour my bike. So the goal of my bike was always just to have a touring bike that can stunt, not a stunt bike that I'm touring, because those are two completely different things. One's a raggedy piece of shit that makes it places sometimes. So then I accidentally built a stunt bike that I tried to tour on, and it just always had problems. So I've been de-stunting my bike, but I've just broken a bunch of stuff and ruined a bunch of things that I'm kind of finally in the cleanup stage of my bike. I just recently found out that I broke the seat pan to my seat, so it's like, it's in two pieces, this nice $700 Saddleman, because I was just being an idiot for 6 months. But
trial and error. Yeah, I'm learning. I'm 23.
Well,
it's all life experience. Guy thinks, hey, this would be a great idea, and then you kind of figure out that you kind of want to go another way. It's like, maybe this wasn't a good idea.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I mean, like, doing a wheelie on a touring bike is so cool, because a lot of people, like, including myself until like 2 years ago, didn't think it's like a possible thing to do. So whenever you're in a pack full of baggers, or like the Gavin's tour, right? You're wearing this pack full of like just fully loaded down baggers, some passengers and stuff like that. And then I'm at a stoplight, I come up in a wheelie. That's exactly what I always wanted to do. Just kind of like little baby wheelie, just like, bah, and then bring it down. Nothing. I'm not trying to get all crazy, but just kind of like show people like, hey, look at this, look what this bike can do. But like I said, just got carried away.
Yeah. Dad hit the nail on the head. Best lessons are hardest learned.
That is true. That's
easy ride. I'm planning on winning that bike. It's going to come to my garage.
Oh yeah, that was what I was going to say too. It was I love the idea of stunning a big bike like that, having a full stunt bike that's like a touring bike. But to tour, I'd want a different bike that I don't stunt at all. So
I can eventually you get the hooligan bike, and then have your touring bike.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the goal in the long run. I really, really like baggers. I rode a Sportster today, nice little nimble Sportster, and I hated just like not having the stability. Like my friend let me borrow a Sportster while we went to the stunt lot. And it's just, I love the security of a bagger. It's just the weight of it just feels nice. So I can see myself having just a garage full of baggers,
Yeah.
And then they all have their own purpose, I can see myself building a little off-road bagger, So
I had figured out once, like, you need 7 bikes, like the touring bike, your hooligan bike, just the run around town bar hop bike, the adventure style bike. I can't remember the list, but once I had it figured out, it's like, fuck, I need 7 bikes. And I had a purpose for all of them, but now it's like I can remember 5 of them. So I don't know. I guess I'm down to, maybe someday I'll have 5.
Honestly, it sounds reasonable to me. It sounds reasonable.
It's just money.
It's just money. That's it. Can't take it with you when you go. Might as well spend it now.
It's like Amy said, no Sportsters. Yeah, she had a bad dream about a Sportster that she picked it up. I think we're in Sturgis, and me and Hayden left her, had a flat tire, and she's like, my tires are flat. And we just told her, well, get it home. See you later. And I guess Hayden and I just took off. I'm like, that's a fucking great dream, dear.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So have you ridden much through Arkansas or any of that area down there?
I can tell you. I normally just follow the leader whenever we go out of town. You could ask my dad. I'm the most geographically challenged person you'll ever meet. I thought until recently, I thought New Mexico was like to the left of us. To the right. I
It
don't
is.
remember. Yeah. So perfect example. Now I thought New Mexico was to the right of us. So yeah, no, I know I've ridden through Arkansas a couple times. I couldn't tell you much of what I've seen in Arkansas. I can tell you that the time that I spent in Tennessee and North Carolina when we did the Dragon was one of the most beautiful rides I've been on. Just because there's not a whole lot of straight roads out there, and the greenery is just beautiful. I'm from Texas, where everything is just flat and dead. So to see like these like just beautiful landscapes like moss coming down and actually going over hills is foreign to me. So it's very cool.
Well, how was the trip when you guys rode up from Texas to South Dakota? I mean, besides obviously, the breakdown shit and the changing shit up, but as for the scenery and the riding part,
Oh yeah, the scenery was amazing. I remember super vividly, and I have a ton of pictures, but of course they'll never do it justice. Super vividly, the day we're pulling into Sturgis, it was one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen. And I've been pretty fortunate to see a lot of sunsets with my dad on a motorcycle. It's one of my favorite things about motorcycling with my dad is just like going through sunsets and sunrises. And to be pulling into Sturgis for an event that we were going for the end of the Monster 100 with my dad, while there's just such a beautiful sunset. It was my first time in Sturgis. It was just like the perfect thing. So that was like the best introduction to Sturgis that would really just set the tone for the whole trip, despite my bike breaking down repeatedly on that trip. When we first pulled into Sturgis, it was like I remember we desperately needed to get something figured out on my bike. My chain had a bunch of problems because of my axles problems, because of my 6-month stint trying to wheelie all the time. So I had been really eating up my chain, eating up my sprockets, and then that was eating up my inner primary. I was having new leaks the whole ride there. I had bought a jack from an O'Reilly's, and we were jacking up my bike, and just like it seemed like every hour I was wrenching on my bike, and that really sucked. But I remember when we first started that trip, it was the first time that I started a trip where I was like, the first time I started a trip in probably like a year, where I was like, my bike feels solid. This thing just feels perfect, And then it was like, as the trip went on, it just progressively got worse because of just all the small problems that has turned into big problems. Yeah, so when we first pulled into Sturgis, I remember my dad being like, hey, we have to avoid certain booths so that way we can get your bike figured out. I was like, what do you mean we have to avoid certain booths? He's like, well, like we can't go by the Wild Ass booth. I was like, what? He's like, well, all of our friends are going to be there. I was like, okay. He's like, so we're going to be talking to them for fucking hours, and then your bike's just going to stay broken. He's like, we got to get something figured out while the sun's up. So one of the big reasons I went chain drive on my bike was because it's really easy to replace a chain, obviously, and then finding a chain, right? Chains are more accessible than belts because most bikes are chain drive. Now, what I didn't know is that most chains aren't as enormously large as a Harley chain. So we're in Sturgis, where there's just nothing but bike parts all around, and nobody's carrying a chain that is used on a Harley. Not that wide, not that many links. So then I had to go back belt drive, and I was super upset. And then I remember getting on my bike after the whole trip was over, basically, and we were about to start heading home. And from then and still to now, this is the most solid my bike has ever felt. So that's very exciting. A very big step in the right direction. So
yeah, I can see that for sure.
But yeah,
but no, it's like you said. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
So yeah, and then I have this newfound confidence in my bike, and we have this. There was a barbecue cook-off this last weekend, or this last Friday. I'm sorry, this last Saturday, and I left out from work on 5:30 to head over there in Paris, Texas, which is about 6 hours north of me. So I plan on showing up to the campgrounds that I was going to stay in Sulphur Springs. I plan on showing up like 11 or 12. And I made it just below Dallas before my bike broke down again, even though it felt super solid and I was super confident, which was soul crushing. Um, so that really sucked. That was a whole thing on its own, which was just I was super super fortunate to have made the friends that I've made because so many people went out of their way to come help me that night. The night before last night, I haven't gotten much sleep, since then. Last night we were up until 4 a.m. helping a buddy with his fork tubes, and night before that was the night that I broke down and I started camping on the side of 35 while I waited for some solutions. So yeah, like I said, that was a little soul crushing, but still step in the right direction. I learned a whole lot whenever I did this Texas tour for the GOAT. Whenever I'm surrounded by a bunch of bikes that have almost double the miles of my bike. Hopper's got almost 100,000 more miles than my bike, and it's completely stock. I built this bike, of course, with a bunch of the stunt stuff in mind, but most of the mods I was doing were for longevity. When a stock part goes out, I replace it with a performance part to help with the longevity. Right? Whenever I have an issue with the stock clutch basket, I got a billet clutch basket to last longer, and it didn't. My clutch basket went out in 10,000 miles, and meanwhile, Hopper's still cruising along with a stock clutch basket that has been lasting him forever. So it's really put a lot into perspective about just like mods. Even though the mods that I'm doing for longevity, it's not worth the risk because the stock stuff is lasting plenty long. So that was
I mean, and there's one thing, the little goodies just to help the engine itself, the intake, exhaust, whatnot, help the motor breathe better, let it exhaust better, some things. But, I think I said a lot of people, my opinion wise, is like there is, I think, like you found out, there's a disadvantage to going bigger is always better.
Of course.
Sometimes it always doesn't last like one's going to think, but
yeah.
It's all trials and tribulations. Sometimes it works great, sometimes it's not going to, and it's just one of those things that we find into.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, learning. I'm learning, and making changes. So this week, probably tomorrow, actually, I'll be putting a stock clutch basket with I'm gonna get my bike all fixed up tomorrow from this last Paris trip because I'm heading out to Terralingua this coming weekend. I'm leaving Friday, with a good group of dudes. So got to make sure the bike's good because I've been planning for a year to do this trip, and I missed it last year. So super excited. What did that guy just say? What about a 121?
Yeah. I'm really excited to leave my 121 drivetrain stock.
I bet you are.
I call bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know. I believe him. He's about as burnt out as I am. Even with his big 131 that was from the factory, he's had a good bit of issues. So
yeah. I remember last year when he came up. We met up in South Dakota last year. Then he ended up breaking down in I think Colorado on his way home.
Yeah. Well, and then pretty shortly after he got the 131, I think it was only like 20,000 miles in. For me and my cousin's 21st birthday, we ran to Vegas. And we made it into Arizona, and my dad's his catalytic converter on his exhaust was about to shoot out at me. And we pulled into a dealership, and I think he had like an oil change that he was trying to get done. And they were like, "Hey, your exhaust is falling apart, and also you have a head like a head gasket leak." And then he was like, "Okay, cool. Like, we'll wait for it." And then they're like, "No, we don't carry parts for this motor." And so that really sucked. My dad had to fly out to meet us in Vegas. Like we finished the trip, went to Vegas. My dad actually had to fly out to Vegas to meet us, but it's like it sucks because that's a stock Harley bike. I mean, obviously not like super stock, right? But it's everything from the factory. He didn't modify anything. So I think that was a really hard lesson learned. And it seems like he's just kind of had a lot of those kind of issues. So that's why I totally believe him when he's talking about leaving the 121 stock. He even was telling me that he's going to keep the exhaust stock, but I don't believe him.
I'm with you
because that thing sounds like a live wire. I went riding.
Sounds like a sewing machine.
Oh no, I wish, because then you could hear it. No, I went riding with it the other day, and we just went to a Firehouse Subs, right? It's pretty close by, and I remember I'd be riding pretty close to him, and I look to the right and I look back, and he's just gone. He just left, and I had no idea because I couldn't hear him at all. You know, even the 131, it had kind of quiet pipes, but you could still hear when he downshifted and stuff like that. But this one's just a smooth running, silent but deadly bike. You know, so
Silent but deadly. I like it.
I don't know. I feel like that's gonna be the main thing he lied about. I think he's gonna change the exhaust on it. But
I guess time will tell. We'll find out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So kind of, how'd you kind of get into the photography aspect? I know you like to do a lot of photography stuff.
Well, I have like a pretty good love for photography, and I feel like most people who have had a smartphone, we all take pictures, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, I love these pictures that I've taken, and I love photography," and so on and so forth. But I whenever I was going to the lot every day, which is it's the stunt lot, which is every Sunday. Me and a lot of the stunt guys will go out and just kind of practice. And so now it's turned into I'm practicing camera work and they're practicing stunts. But that's where it was really cultivated. Was I had my phone camera and I'm taking these pictures that I was actually really pretty proud of for a phone camera. It was pretty terrible camera on my Android that I was taking pictures with. But I was still taking pictures that I was pretty proud of. And so I was doing that every single weekend for like a year, just phone camera pictures. And I was getting a lot of compliments, and that was really cool. But more importantly, I was really capturing the moment, right? I've never really liked taking pictures of stuff where it's like posed or like, okay, everybody gather around, and I'm going to take a picture or do that again. I need to get it on camera kind of stuff. But capturing a moment or an emotion or just kind of like a feel,
a memory.
Yeah, I'm like that's the main goal. Is I'm trying to capture a memory. I'm trying to capture how something feels in the moment, and so I was doing that for about a year, taking pictures with my phone, and then my dad had let me borrow one of his old vlogging cameras, and it was just a complete game changer. It was like because I was like social media sober for like 6 months, and during that time I picked up my dad's sober. Yeah, it got bad because it was like I remember I was posting like every day, sometimes twice a day, because I didn't like my job at the time, and so I'd like hide out in the bathroom and I'd just be like always on my phone on social media, just like always posting, always tagging everybody and stuff like that, and it just felt gross. So I was like, I need to step back and just figure out how to not make this so ingrained into my life. So then it was like I said, I was like social media sober for like 6 months, and then during that time, I had picked up my dad's old camera and a couple lenses and stuff like that, and I've been practicing and stuff like that. So I came back.
Vicky.
What'd she say?
Oh, she's trying to play a fucking dirty game.
Buffalo, Denver.
Yeah. Damn it. It's one of those things. It's a club you don't ever want to get into.
Okay.
Yeah, you sometime you should ask your dad about the Buffalo Cub and Scotch tape.
I don't think I want to.
Oh no, you trust me. It was fucking hysterical when he went to find Scotch tape so the beer wouldn't stick in his hand.
What?
I'll explain to you a little when we're done, a little bit more. But yeah, it was a very good moment last year in South Dakota when he's Scotch taping all of his fingers so the beer would slide out of his hand if he picked it up with the wrong hand.
That is
touche.
Hear that? That's not the first time my dad's taped his fingers. I remember we were going through New Mexico and it was I guess it wasn't snowing, but it had recently snowed.
There you go.
We were all duct taping our fingers to try to like keep the cold wind off of our fingers. It didn't work, but it was worth a try.
So, yeah, you got to try it.
Yeah, that trip was my first time wrecking, like actually wrecking, because like I had made a couple like small mistakes, and when you have crash protection, on these bikes, it's really easy to kind of just like play around on it, but it also gets you familiar with your bike. Whenever you drop it, you kind of see where the limits are and stuff like that. But yeah, that was my first like actual wreck, was in New Mexico. Me and my dad and my uncle I think we just took like a weekend trip to Ruidoso, or I don't even remember. But we just took like a short trip to New Mexico, and I tapped into my dad's helmet. I didn't know it was gonna be so cold. I think we were gonna go to Arkansas, and then we were like, oh, let's go to New Mexico instead. So we did. And I remember I was like, I packed one jacket, and like I had like thrashing gloves, and it was like 35 degrees. So then we're riding up through like these beautiful scenic places of New Mexico, and this was I think this was my first time looking at a mountain and seeing like snow caps, like snow on the top of the mountains and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then I'm like kind of looking on the side of the road, and there's like weird looking gravel.
Time out. That's the first time you'd seen mountains with snow on them?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Not a whole lot of mountains in Texas, and not a whole lot of snow.
This was
either.
last year?
I think 2 years ago.
Jesus Christ, you live a sheltered life, my friend.
Just not a whole lot of traveling. Not a whole lot of getting out of Texas. Not before the bike.
So, okay, that's just want to check.
Since the bike, I've seen quite a bit of snow on top of mountains.
Okay,
but and mountains in general. I hadn't seen a whole lot of mountains in general growing up. So, like I said, everything's pretty flat in Texas. So
right.
But yeah, I remember seeing all this like white stuff on the side of the road, the gravel looking stuff. And then I tapped into my dad's helmet and I was like, hey, is that fucking snow? And then he was like, oh yeah, maybe it's a little cold. And so like, I'm just like looking around. I'm really shocked that this dude just took me into like what I considered like a snowstorm, because I'd never really ridden anything near close to snow. So I'm like, dude, we're in a blizzard right now. And you didn't even tell me. So then I'm like keeping my mind off of being freezing, because like I said, I had like a windbreaker and some thrashing gloves. I might as well have just been wearing shorts. So we're cooking along. I'm looking at these mountains and they're just beautiful. And then my bike does this little weird wobbly thing. And my dad taps into my helmet. He's like, hey, you felt that, right? And I was like, yeah. He said, yeah, you just ran over ice. I need you to pay attention to the road instead of the mountains, please. Like, I don't need this to get like nasty. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. And then as we're talking, like I'm looking like at the road. I'm like, there is ice all over the road. And I look up and we're doing like 45. And there's one of those like it's a little turn. It's got a little sign that says like recommended speed 30, And then I was like, oh shit, like I try to start slowing down. And then there's just ice all around that corner. And then so my dad goes off the road. And then I'm like trying to take this corner, and then I low side, and the bike spins like a top, and ejecto seats me. So, that was my first like actual time going down like on a trip or not doing something dumb. I guess I wasn't paying attention. That's pretty dumb. But yeah, it was a good time. The other two like wrecks before I had like a real, what I would consider like a real wreck that was like could have been a pretty nasty one, which was last year. The other two times I had high sided my bike trying to do like drift and stuff, whenever I was going through the stunt phase. So I'd swing it out real hard and then I'd lock. We talked about this the last podcast. There was one time I was leaving work and I swung it out real hard and then my handlebars hit the steering lock. My handlebars hit the steering locks and then I high sided pretty bad, hit my helmet on the ground, had to go buy a new helmet. Now, right after that podcast, I did it again because I didn't. So yeah, it was like a week later. I high sided again, and then it was like, okay, yeah, this whole drifting thing's not for me. But so I didn't really learn much, right? About like, I didn't really learn much about kind of taking it easy, or I didn't really like it didn't really like freak me out. It didn't make me feel uncomfortable on my bike. I was like, oh well, that happened because I was being an idiot. Now maybe like a year after that, I actually wrecked. I was going around a curve and I was taking it super easy. It was the night of I remember specifically, it was the night of a blood moon. And I was hanging out in La Vernia and I started heading back home. It was like 1 a.m. And then there are get-offs in real race. Yeah, I'm familiar with the fast get-offs. So I'm going around this like really light corner that I hadn't been around very much. And normally if it was daytime, I'd probably try to take that corner doing like 115. But I was like, I'm going to take it easy. It's 1 a.m. I've never been around this corner. It's dark as hell outside. So I'm taking it easy, barely turning, doing about 60, 65. And there's just like, it seemed like there was just like soap water all over the road. It was like my tires touched it and I low sided like immediately. My bike slides. Low siding and then it catches and it hits the other side and it's sliding again and it flips again. And I remember I was sliding. I was wearing this shirt actually. I was sliding for a little bit and my feet were out in front of me. And I was like, follow my kid on his first trip. Yeah, no, but my feet are out in front of me and I was like, I want to run this off. I didn't know I was still doing like 40. So I was like, I go to put my feet under me and I just catapult myself, which really saved me from road rash, but I got some more bruises like that. So I got some serious airtime, jacked my helmet up again, just like destroyed a lot of stuff on my bike. But that was the only wreck that's like really shaking me up because I wasn't being an idiot and I was paying attention. And that was the first time that was a wreck that I felt like I couldn't have avoided. And that sucked. So then it was like up until recently, it was like any curve, anytime I was in rain, I had never felt this the way that I felt before that curve, young, dumb, and ignorant. Um,
Well, you get new
so
respect for it. I mean, it kind of, makes you like second guess. Okay, cool. Maybe a little easier, but yeah, when you go through an experience like that, all of a sudden, you got to get that confidence back because, those things happen. It's going to, put you down a notch or two. And it's like, okay, now, you got to work and come back.
yeah, it was definitely a humbling moment. A reminder, nonetheless, it's a reminder that anything can happen at any time, So, and God, I needed that reminder. I'm really fortunate to have just ridden my bike home. There was EMS that happened to be passing by on that. Like they were leaving work, and it was like this dude in a van, and he stops and he's like, "Fuck!" He's like, "Hey, take your helmet off." I'm like, "Who are you?" And then he's like, "Take your helmet off," and he's like checking if I have a concussion and shit like that. And so, I was like, "Yeah, like my name's Chase. It's a Thursday, or whatever, right?" And so, he's like, "All right, you're good." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm a little rashed up, but not bad." And he's like, "Okay." He's like, "Oh, well, I called a flatbed." I was like, I can't afford a flatbed. This bike turns on. Tell him to turn around. So like bars are all crooked, bikes like it's pretty jacked up. And then so like my fairings all like wiggling around, my fairing brackets are broken and stuff. And then he's like, "Are you sure you might have a concussion?" I was like, "You just checked if I had a concussion. I'm riding my bike home, arrest me or I'm riding away." So yeah, and then I saw the flatbed pull up. And I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry you wasted a trip. I'm leaving. Like, this isn't happening." So, but yeah, I remember leaving that place on the side of the road, just like super grateful with how it shook out. Because another big fear of mine is guardrails, right? If I do wreck, I really don't want to be anywhere near a guardrail because those just mess people up. So, and then I was heading straight for a guardrail, especially whenever I tried to like catapult myself and meet back up with my bike. I remember like being in the air, just watching this guardrail get closer to me. So that was the only time I've actually been like shaken up with one of my faster get offs.
I can see why. That could definitely shake a person up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no.
But you've rebounded, and you continue to go at it, and you retrain the brain.
Yeah, retrain the brain for sure. I have a pretty shocker, I know, pretty unreliable truck as well. So I get to get a lot of seat time in. So I was dailying my bike for right under 2 years before I got my truck back from a mechanic that was really just dragging his feet with it.
I would say,
yeah, very long story on the truck. I didn't do any of my own work on my truck because that's too important for me to mess with, and it's still all jacked up. So anyway, but yeah, I was dailying my bike for 2 years, so I got a good chance to get some good seat time in to get more familiar with my bike again. But yeah, no, it's been an eventful summer and pre-summer. Like I said, I mean, I don't really in Texas. I mean, you don't really get a big winter time. So I wasn't dailying it for 3 years, Dad. Okay. It was off and on for the last year.
Oh, this is awesome.
But yeah, the first 2 years definitely dailying it, but this last year's been like my truck runs every few months. It's running right now. Just fixed it the other day. But yeah, we don't get a big winter in Texas, so it's like I get the opportunity to ride all year long. So I mean, since March, my year has just been nonstop. I'm a yes man to a fault. So if somebody's like, "Hey, you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, of course." And then I'll look at my bank account and be like, "I got to figure out how to make this work." So
my brain says yes. My bank account says you're fucking crazy.
Yeah, bank account's always disagreeing with me. But try to make it work. I went to Daytona for the first time this March. That was a lot of fun. I went with most of my friends who are a lot better at the stunt stuff, and it was just a riot all through Daytona. None of us were running plates, like it was pretty rowdy time. But
Daytona would be cool.
Daytona was a fantastic time, and with my little gaggle, it's like we kind of knew where all of the young, dangerous, dumb stuff is happening, so we kind of gravitated towards that. So there's of course, with events that big, there's so many different types of crowds, so it was cool.
It'd be fun. I mean, I like to ride, but that time of year it'd be really hard trying to go from the far northwest, and there are some mountains and whatnot in the way. And that time of year, they're not very motorcycle friendly to get down to.
Yeah, in March. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But so how long were you in Daytona?
We were there for I think 7 days, 8 days, something like that.
Oh, nice.
I think it was 8 days. And that was the first motorcycle thing that I've ever done where I actually trailered it. And I felt like dirty. I felt guilty. I didn't plan on trailering it, but shocker, my bike was having problems. And I was like, man,
pattern here.
Yeah, everybody, yeah. Hopefully trying to calm that pattern down a little bit. But
there we go.
So I went to Daytona with a group of 11 bikes. So we had a trailer with 9 bikes stuffed into it. And then a buddy had a truck with 2 bikes in his bed. And it was a riot, like I said, the whole time. But I plan on doing a 1K out there instead of trailering. And all my friends were like, dude, there's no, that's crazy, this and that. Cause they're all Dyna guys, they're all stunt guys. They're like, I'm not doing a fucking 1K with you, So I was like, all right, losers, I'm doing a 1K. I talked a whole bunch of mad shit for months before Daytona. I was like, yeah, well, that's what you stunt guys do. Y'all aren't real Harley riders like me, brother. And then sure enough, I was like, hey, y'all got any extra room on that trailer? I don't feel comfortable driving my bike that far by myself, because they're going to be pretty far ahead of me. But, and then sure enough, really good thing I didn't ride out to Daytona, because right after we got back, I learned that I made a mistake when I was putting the chain on my bike, and my chain popped off and locked up my rear wheel while I was in town, luckily, right after we got back from Daytona. So really happy I traded that time. And then, I mean, it's like ever since Daytona, it's just been, it's been pretty packed, kind of a lot of stuff going on each month. Especially, I feel like, especially in Texas. So, I got invited to do a Texas Hills photo shoot, which was like right after I got my, right after I started borrowing my dad's, actual camera. So Texas Hills was an event that, I think shut down a few years back. I'm not too sure on the history of it, but, my uncle Cody is a photographer and super big into the motorcycle world, and he got invited to do this shoot, and he was like, hey, like, would you want to like drive the truck while I do drone stuff or take these videos of these Harleys for a promo shoot for Texas Hills? And I was like, yeah, dude, I'd be like, I would absolutely love to. And while I was there, I happened to shoot a couple pictures, and some people really liked him, so they invited me back out to the second Texas Hills shoot. And that's then cool. Yeah, that was a blast. So then it was cool watching them kind of use the pictures that I was taking alongside my uncle's photos. That I really respect his photography, and I think that you'll see kind of honestly a lot of similarities between mine and his stuff as far as like just like a more summery, happy kind of vibe to him,
Well, I think every photographer has their style and their niche of when it comes to their editing and how they take them. And I think, you can take similar for pictures as another photographer, you see similarities, but everybody's going to have their own style and it's going to stand apart from everyone else's. And, the more you do it, you're going to, I mean, just from the pictures I've seen that you've taken are absolutely amazing. And, you keep going with it. It's going to be really cool to see how your, basically your portfolio grows with it.
Yeah. I'm really excited to grow in the photography area. I've been invited to, come shoot stuff and be paid. I'm weird about the payment thing. Or I've had people, be like, hey, like, how much do you want for these pictures you took? And I'm like, just have them, dude. Like, you were there and I was there and I just happened to take pictures. Because like, I'm still kind of honing in on it, and I feel like I'm robbing people, charging for pictures. But I've been told by photographers that's a very terrible idea. So
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, and if people appreciate and like the quality of what you're doing, then it's just, that next step of, you get your name out there, you enjoy riding, but okay, cool. Now you're becoming, a photographer within the community that we all enjoy so much. And,
Right.
having those people there that can, snap those pictures, and it's just, it all builds to the memories of what people, they might have forgot about something that happens and see, oh man, this guy got a great picture. And, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Well,
awesome.
and then also I tend to miss a lot of shots, which is frustrating. I miss like the really cool shots. Like at Texas Hills, we went with some of our stunt guys, and they're all doing some rowdy stuff right in front of the venue. And so wheelies up and down. They block traffic. They stop the traffic in front of the venue. And so they're doing wheelies up and down and burnouts and all sorts of shit. And then there's I think it was a state trooper, like right in front of where they were blocking traffic. And then he's on the intercom. He's like, "Get out of the fucking road!" He's cursing at us. And then it was like they're still just doing wheelies and burnouts. And I'm out there taking pictures, doing my very best to get everybody doing everything. And I didn't even see the cop, not for 1 second. And one of my buddies, he was like, "All right, like I'm done. Like I'm gonna, get out of this little spot where we're doing all the stunt stuff." And the cop started following him, and so he took off. And I didn't catch that shot, and I get grief of it. I get grief from it, maybe every week, probably more than every week, a few times a week. Where he's like, "Yeah, Chase is our group picture taker, but he misses a lot of cool stuff. Like whenever I had that cop behind me in Texas Hills, with nothing but like smoke behind me and a cop. Like, yeah, I get it, dude. I missed the shot, but that's another thing that's like it's hard for me to take payment because it's like I can't guarantee that I'm going to get anything. There is a lot of times that I'll go out with my camera, take 200 pictures, and not like any of them. So,
But that's the thing. I think, you might not like them, but it's another opinion. Somebody looking out might really like the moment that you captured. And it's just, one of those deals.
yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to grow with the photography thing. Almost every time I bring out the camera, I'm learning something new. Like today, I did a good bit of learning, just on different lenses and stuff like that. I keep getting new favorites, and I'm really kind of, like I said, I'm kind of starting to hone in on what I like to do, what I like to shoot with, how I like to shoot. One thing I'm really working on now is composition, which it's probably like my biggest weakness. So setting up a shot and like seeing the lines in a photographer kind of way. The lines of like the roads and how people are coming at me with a bike. So it's cool. It's cool to be learning about it.
I mean, I enjoy photography. I'll, watch a lot of YouTube stuff, and then they start, oh no, you got to set the aperture here, and they just, start talking all this up. It's like, yeah, I'm fucking lost already.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the actual settings, you just gotta play with it. You'll figure it out. That's stuff that I think that just comes naturally after like a month of missing a bunch of stuff or getting a bunch of stuff that's super low quality. Then you'll kind of figure out what settings do what and what to change at what times. So
yeah, I'll probably stick to the iPhone photography, and I'll lock my focus, play the aperture that way. And
yeah,
I've got some cool pictures, but maybe someday I'll get a real camera. But I don't know. They say the best one is the one's in your pocket, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They're so convenient, and the iPhone cameras are so much better than most of the cameras that were around 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, you should tell that to your dad. The iPhone cameras are way better.
Oh yeah, I do all the time. I'm recently a converted iPhone guy. I was team Android to death until maybe 6 months ago. I dropped my phone down a hole that I drilled. I was a rock driller at a mining company, and I'm looking down a hole, listening to a podcast. I was listening to your podcast actually, and I'm listening to this podcast, and I get a text from my coworker. And I'm looking down this hole that I just drilled. It's 11 feet down into the ground, and I pick up my phone. I respond to the text, put my phone back in my pocket, but I didn't quite make my pocket. Falls directly 11 feet down into this hole into the earth, and there's no way to get it out. It's like it's gone forever. But your podcast is still playing, and that hole just acted as like an amplifier, and so I was able to hear it clearly. But
oh, that's too freaking funny.
Yeah. So then I had to get a new phone, and at the time I was like, I just want to get an iPhone for convenience. Sharing images is so much easier with the iPhones, which is like one of the biggest reasons I got one. Sharing like the Dropbox thing, images and videos. So
yeah, I'm slowly learning some of that stuff, but Yeah, I was Android forever till about 3-ish years ago. Maybe no, probably longer than that. And
Mhm.
then yeah, I went the iPhone way, and even the new one. I mean, I don't have the 15. I got the 14 Pro Max, and the camera is freaking phenomenal.
I got the same phone. They like just came out with the 15, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe.
just like a week or so ago. Of
Yeah.
course, I went to the 14 Pro like 2 weeks before it came out.
Yeah, that's my luck too. Kind of things. How I roll. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a pretty cool, eventful summer. My little gaggle got invited out to do a stunt show in Edinburgh, which was a blast. And they were kind of like they're gonna be pretty upset if I didn't come and like photograph it. So that was really cool. Like my bike had some serious problems. And yeah, I know, shocker. I wouldn't
Oh.
I wouldn't have been able to make that ride out to Edinburgh. So I actually took one of the trucks, one of our guys' trucks out there, and just in case something happened, and I think something did happen, so we had a little bike up, and everything kind of worked out. But that was super cool that our group got invited out to do a stunt show for. It was called Blazing the Brush, and that was a really cool show. They had drag racing, a stunt show, and just all sorts of stuff, vendors and Vikla shows and stuff like that. Something that I'm definitely going to try to make it again next year. But it's by the border, man, and going to stuff by the border just kind of sucks. Like it's just going out that way is just like it's so hot and boring and flat. And that's kind of how it's going to be going to Terralingwood this next weekend, from what I understand, from what I've heard. Hot, boring, and flat, all the way until you get up to like near Big Bend area. Then it starts to get pretty mountainous and stuff like that. But yeah, border stuff is just kind of getting there is not that fun. So
One of these summers, you and Dad need to get up to the Pacific Northwest area, show you some fun places and some epic stuff.
I'd
Some
really
great
like to.
roads.
Yeah, I'd really like to. I'm really honing in on a reliable bike, so I'll be making longer trips. I think this next year. So that's
Well,
really
even if your
exciting.
dad don't want to come, hey, you're always welcome, man. You come up here, I'll show you around. There's some cool shit to be seen and some awesome country for sure.
Of course, man. I'll take you up on that. I'd love to come. Hopefully this next year. Yeah, within this next year. So
Yeah,
that'd be
we can
fun.
meet up in Kansas and talk about it. You guys can just go from there.
Yeah. I'm really excited for that ride.
That's
The
gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. The Monster K. The Monster 1K?
The
Or is
Monster
it the
K.
Monster K?
I know it was fun to finally actually get to meet you in person this year in Sturgis. It was
Yeah.
really cool. You got a
Yeah.
couple awesome pictures of the bike, and of course, me and your dad bullshitting. And no, your camera skills are awesome, man. I can't wait to keep following that stuff and see how it grows.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it was really cool meeting you in person. It felt like we hadn't met yet. Whoa. If dad don't come, what the hell did
It's all right. Ryan said, "Hey, if it don't work out, just go take Pearl."
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was something in Sturgis. I didn't know that Riot had both of his bikes there, and I'm riding around all Sturgis on the back of my dad's bike. And Riot was like, "Oh man, I mean, it's pretty hilarious that you were on the back of your dad's bike, but I had an extra bike you could have ridden." And I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks."
Actually, Amy had a good one. If there's one place you go next summer, where would it be?
Well, there's certain trips that I try to really make I try to make each year, right? So like there's the Fast Life camp out. I really want to make that every year. But if you're saying like a location rather than an event that I'm trying to make,
Or maybe a bucket list trip of one place you'd really want to go.
I really, really want to see the Golden Gate Bridge on my bike. But
That'd be cool.
gas prices kind of suck over there. But yeah, I really want to check out California on my bike. All of my friends who have been to California have nothing but amazing things to say about it. The riding's just beautiful out there. And I'd really love to get, like I said, I'd really love to get a picture of my bike with the Golden Gate in the background. Yeah.
It's sunset. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing.
I
I didn't
like
know
I said,
until,
one thing that's so fun that for instance, when I went to California, is going on motorcycles. Like you're riding, especially you're doing long adventures, long trips where you're riding, you're seeing the sunrise, and then you're still going that day, and you're chasing the sunset the same day. It
oh
just
yeah,
awesome.
I can't count on two hands anymore how many times I've done that with my dad, and that's just been something that I'll be forever grateful for. Is seeing the sunrise and sunset in the same day on a bike with my dad, one of my closest friends, you know. So that's just super amazing. That's another part of motorcycle traveling that is just like one of my favorite things about it, is just seeing that kind of stuff. Just the beauty that nature has to offer us.
I caught an amazing sunrise, and I don't know where the hell we were, Southern Oregon somewhere, getting close to California, and then the next day catching the sunset somewhere north of Bakersfield, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Seeing different types of scenery and just like the things that are happening naturally, like the sunset, sunrises, and stuff like that. But like the mountains and the greenery, like I said, I was seeing in Tennessee and North Carolina, is just, as a Texan with not a whole lot to see, it's just so fantastic to be able to see that kind of stuff on a motorcycle, because it's not as much like you're viewing it through a TV screen the way that it feels like in a car. In a motorcycle, It's like you're living in that area for a short while, you know. So,
and it's so much more personal on a motorcycle. It's not like in a car. It's hard to explain to somebody that doesn't ride, when they can say they're seeing the same thing, but it's totally different.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. Oh yeah. What about you? If you were to go anywhere, I guess I didn't answer the question. If I was going to go anywhere next. Oh yeah, I did. I'm sorry. Yeah, California. What about you? Next year, next summer, where would you like to go?
I would love to go through Utah, southern Utah.
Okay. I've been wanting to make a Utah trip. I've been through Utah, but I haven't spent a whole lot of time there.
I think it'd be cool to go through, Utah, Zion Arches, and some of those places. But I would also love to do Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been wanting to check out Colorado. We've kind of blasted through Colorado. The short time that I spent in Colorado coming from and going to Sturgis this year, Colorado, you got to fix your roads. Those roads sucked.
Never been there, so I don't know.
Yeah. You haven't like anywhere in Colorado?
No.
Really?
Nope. I've done Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, South Dakota, Wyoming, and California.
Okay. All right.
So that'd be a cool thing, doing the Monster K. I'll get to see some new country, because I think I'm going to try to route through part of northern Colorado.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's another one that, that's a killer ride. Scenery is the Tetons in western Wyoming into Idaho. Teton Mountains are absolutely freaking amazing to see in person. Okay. We got to experience those last year. It was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I have to check that out. Teton. How do you spell Teton?
Teton.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was picturing
go Google the Tetons. They are absolutely freaking epic.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, that's very cool. Leave me a little note, because I will forget in less than a minute and a half.
Yeah. Really want to stay at the Stanley Hotel with you? Sure. Fucking, they say one of the most haunted freaking hotels in the country.
I was going to say, that sounds familiar, the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not super, I can't get down with the spiritual stuff. I don't get near it with a 10-foot pole. The haunted stuff it's not that it doesn't interest me, it's that it frightens me. I don't want to be anywhere near it. I got too much to worry about as it is, with the stuff that I can touch.
Yeah, there you go. Mike says you got to come ride Monsters Over Mountains next year.
Oh,
I know he's gonna come hit it on his way after the Hoka Hey. That's why we're moving the weekend, so it'll be after the Hoka Hey finishes. So some of those gents that want to ride it, including Frank Orlando, who's helped me since the beginning, we're gonna move it, so it'll be after everybody finishes, August 24th, 25th.
All right, that's Michael. I'll take you up on that. I'd really love to. If my bike's feeling good, I'd love to be out there with y'all. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I want to talk a second about the Mile Monsters, man.
Go for it.
So first of all, the Mile Monsters goes it goes hand in hand pretty closely with Hoka Hey finishers. You can't talk about Mile Monsters without talking about Hoka Hey guys. And I hadn't heard
part of it.
Oh yeah. Wait, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
A lot of them are part of it.
Right. Yeah. So, it was really cool, because I had heard a lot about Hoka Hey from my dad, but I didn't know too much about Mile Monsters. I had heard the name, but over the last year and a half, I had heard more and more about Hoka Hey from my dad. And I remember hearing legends of these guys, of these like almost like tales, like tall tales of these dudes that, you know, were like, I don't know, they're wrecking their bike on the Hokahay, and then they're breaking out of hospitals and breaking into you know, impound places to get their bikes and finish the Hokahay. You know, I'm hearing stories like that. I'm passing them along like as tall tales. You know, like I heard a story. I don't know if it's true. You know, I'm hearing stories of these guys who, you know, they start the Hokahay with a broken hand, end it with a couple broken hands. You know, but they're all finishing. These dudes are out of their minds. You know, and so like I said, like tall tales. And then as I progressively meet the monsters, I learned that these aren't tall tales. These are the monsters doing the Hokahay, and they're insane. You know, they're just built different. You know, most of my friends are like terrified by 100-mile day, and these guys are just they're killing it. And so to meet a lot of these guys in person whenever I was doing the goat tour was so cool. So it was like I meet Michael, and I find out that he's the guy that started the Hokahay with a broken hand, you know, and just throughout the trip, I keep meeting Hokahay guys. Gopher, fantastic guy, you know.
Gopher's cool as hell.
Oldest top 20 finisher of the Hokahay. It's super cool to meet that guy in person. Super cool to meet Michael Wrongway Lamb in person, you know. And then just kind of getting engulfed and surrounded by the monster community has been so incredible. You know, it's a community that I've never been a part of a community anything close to this, you know. So it's been very, very cool and a huge monumental part of my summer, you know. So it's been really cool. Just kind of wanted to touch in on that a little bit.
It's educational both ways. I mean, learning, you know, the cause behind it, but then also getting to meet the individuals that ride it, and you know, they're so humbling, you know, sharing their stories, sharing advice, and you know, giving little tidbits, you know, hey, I want to do this, and you know, looking at how they have stuff set up, and you know, they're very easygoing, and it's an amazing community to be part of. When you get inside of those people, the motorcycle community as a whole is awesome, but then you can meet these small little communities within it, and it's so cool to meet these people and to be able to learn from them.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. To be able to learn from them for sure. I've learned a lot already about.
Oh, so have I.
Parts. Yeah. No, they got a lot. They got a lot to teach. You know, they got a lot to tell. They lived through a lot on these freaking motorcycles. You know.
Oh, they are. You know, it is. It's very educational to get to meet them and see their, you know, their setups, how they do stuff, preparing for things, and you know how it all goes. It's so cool. I'm, you know, grateful to be able to call a lot of them, you know, my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. And it's such an accepting group too. You know, I did that goat tour, and it was just like everybody I met just met me with open arms. You know, just like super happy to meet me, and of course vice versa, me happy to meet them as well, because it's just I haven't met a monster that I didn't like, that I got weird vibes from, that I got, you know, kind of like an off feeling from. Like all of them are just super personable and just easy to talk to and fun to talk to. You know, it's a community of really great people.
Oh, I agree 100%.
It's been really cool to just meet so many people from there.
Oh yeah, I mean, even like, you know, Michael Nielsen agreed. You know, meeting some of the real monsters in person at Turbo's birthday was awesome, and then, you know, and at Denver's point, being able to learn from some of these top tier riders, and it is, you know, you can learn, you know, from their craft. You can kind of learn and get your own setup going, and you know, kind of learn. I wouldn't say mistakes, but you know, instead of going down a rabbit hole and it's like, okay, this is really the wrong way, because you know, you kind of see what they got going. It's like, okay, cool, I'm not going to go this way. Let's go the other way, because it's, you know, a lot of these guys are using it and it really works, and so it's
right.
It's cool.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
and you know, like, never forget your wild ass.
Never forget. Oh my God, the wild ass. Yeah, that was something I really want to touch on. Goodness gracious. So when we were doing the Goats Texas tour, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. When my dad and I did the 1K just before the Goats Texas tour to kind of get a feel for our bikes and stuff like that, that we did a 1K basically. First of all, it was a Father's Day ride, and of course, that was a perfect opportunity to do a 1K with my dad. You know, so we did this Father's Day 1K, but it was also kind of like a shakedown run for us before we did the Texas tour. And I remember I have one of the most uncomfortable seats you can buy. I have a Saddleman SDC seat, which is just a Stunner Boy seat, you know? And so it doesn't have a lot of cushion. It's too far back for me for the seating position. But I was like, I'm just going to do this 1K in a day with the Saddleman and just kind of see how it feels. And I felt okay by the end of the day. You know, it was back hurt a little bit. But I was like, I think I could do the goat tour with this. And so I started the goat tour first day. Take your own advice, Spring.
Yeah, Mike went on a ride, before he continued, and the next day he forgot his wild ass and did about 600 miles without it, and he was a miserable mofo by the end of that day.
Oh man. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Now I'm gonna get into how I feel about the wild ass. I on the first day of the Goats Texas tour, we ended in Corpus, where Michael took his brand new bike to meet us. Michael Wrongway, and he brought some gifts from old Craig. He brought Hopper a customized wild ass seat, and he brought a spare wild ass. I think it was, I don't remember who it was for. I don't remember if it was for me or if it was for my dad, because he had that other brand on it. I don't remember, but I ended up with it, and so I was like, this is boomer shit. This is old guy shit. I got a young back. I'll be fine. So I just put it in my saddlebag, and I was like, this is, like if I feel weird, maybe I'll put it on my bike if I feel like a little uncomfy. And then it was like day 2, I woke up completely different frame of mind. I was like, I mean, I have it. I might as well try it. You right? So I throw it on my bike, and I was like, I'm not gonna like this because it's a seat cushion. It's gonna move around, all sorts of stuff. And sure enough, I inflated it, and I hated it because it was like sitting on a balloon. And I got off my bike, and they were like, "How do you like it?" And I was like, I'm not a fan. It's like I'm still dialing it in, I guess. And then Riot was like, "That thing looks like a balloon. Why is it inflated so much?" I was like, "Well, maximum cushionage, man. Like I'm trying to be super comfortable." And he's like, him and my dad were both like, "No, don't. It lets some air out. You want like a little bit of air, And so then I dialed it in. Oh my gosh, as I was super hard headed to be like, yeah, I don't need a wild ass, I don't really want to do 100 miles without a wild ass now. And they're breathable too, which is really nice.
Boomer shit.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't need anything like that. I have a young enough back to just destroy on my, on my bike, but yeah, I know that the wild ass has been a game changer like crazy. And I did almost the whole trip with my wild ass on the Gavin's tour. And then I just got back from, whenever I went to Paris, whenever I was trying to go to Paris, I remember I was like halfway there, and I was just upset because I didn't have my wild ass. I was like, I'm like not super uncomfortable, but I'm not comfortable, And I remember like I looked at my wild ass before I left, and I was like, I need to grab that before I leave, and I just didn't, So I was pretty upset that I didn't even have it. So quite the change in perspective on that one.
Yeah, you learn.
The bike seat is there just for a place to put a wild ass Michael Wrongway. Yeah. That's funny stuff.
Oh yeah, Amy keeps one of them in the car.
I've heard about that. I heard that you kept one in the car too, or I heard that you lost some air recently on the way back from Sturgis.
Yeah. The first gas stop on the way home, somebody deflated mine and opened the valve and let all the air out. Got the first gas stop, couldn't figure out why the fuck my ass hurts. I'm like, this isn't right. What the fuck's going on? Fueled the bike up. Amy's taking a break for a minute. I unzip it, and the valve was all the way open. There ain't no air in it. I'm like, son of a bitch. Well played, somebody. Somebody got me, and still never. I thought it was your dad, honestly, because that one day when up in Sturgis, he was over there, with the bike, and I'm like, that fucker probably opened the valve, and he swore up and down it wasn't me. I wasn't pissed at anybody who ever did them. I laughed. I'm like, that's a fucking good one.
I remember my dad. I think I don't remember if you called him or texted him, but he just started like laughing. I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Denver just asked me if I deflated his wild ass." Well, did you? And he's like, "No, I wouldn't. I would never do something like that because I love my wild ass, and I'd be so mad if somebody did it to me." But
I laughed. It was a good one. I'm like, oh, well played, buddy. Somebody got me, and this is one of those things. It was good for a laugh, and it makes you realize the difference they make when all of a sudden you don't realize that somebody let the air out until you're 150-ish miles in, your fucking ass is hurting, killing you. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You're doing the old squirmy side to side shit. And no, yeah.
You know what? I bet you it was Craig. It's a great selling point. Just as like a little nice little jab reminder to let you know how great that seat is. You know?
Well, I was staying with him, that's a possibility.
Yeah. But yeah, no, my dad was like, I'd never do that to anybody. That's cruel.
Yeah, he's like, that'd be like messing with your mirrors. I'm like, dude, I ain't mad at whoever did it. I laughed. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, no, that was a game changer. The Wild Ass, huge deal.
Oh, they are. It's amazing the differences little cushions make. For sure.
I never would have thought that it'd be such a dramatic difference. I kind of just figured it was like putting a pillow under you, but no, it's nothing like that.
Well, the comical thing of that, from working with them and over there, working series, people come up, this ain't gonna help. It's flat. I'm like, all right, dude, come here.
Yeah,
have a seat. And they sit down like, oh my god, exactly. It don't take much.
And it takes a second to kind of dial it in. You
right. Like, I wish it was me.
He was my number one culprit. Since you haven't found it, I kind of feel like it was Gavin. He was walking around sticking stickers on everybody's bikes. I feel like he might have just kind of like given it a little release there.
Yeah, somebody did. It was funny. I like I said, I laughed, man.
But yeah, it takes a second to kind of dial it in, right? Like for me, normally about like 20 miles until it's like perfectly dialed, right? So like I'm sitting working on my bike one night after the Gavin tour, after the goat tour, and my brother's in the garage with me, and he's like, what is this? Is this like a cushion? Like your seat doesn't work or what? I was like, yeah, it's a cushion because my seat sucks. And he's like, why? Just like you said, like it's deflated. Like doesn't look like it do much. It's like just putting like a cover under your butt, But I was like, no, it's got some air in it. And he's like, well, you should inflate it. I was like, I kind of explained it a little bit. And he's like, well, how do you inflate it? And I already knew where this was going, right? But I was like, I told him anyway. He opens the valve, blows it all the way up, And I was like, nah, I got to redial that thing, dude. It was perfect. He ruined it just because you're curious if it blows up like a balloon. So, yeah, no, but yeah, I don't like leaving home without it now.
Yeah, I feel you 100%.
But,
yeah, GOAT is fun to watch around bikes. He's learned from a couple pranksters.
Oh yeah. If you don't know where GOAT is or you haven't heard him in a while, he's messing with something. He's poking around somewhere. He's wandering off, sticking some stickers under some places.
The little king of one-liners.
Oh my gosh. That was so funny. That was another great part about the trip was like whenever we had first started the trip, my dad and I were strangers to Gavin. We had just met him the first day. So like 2 days into the trip, he started kind of opening up, and getting just like a little more comfortable, just like saying whatever was on his mind. And that kid is hilarious. He just like out of nowhere, he'll just say some like off the wall, hilarious stuff, one liner, that I couldn't have come up with if I wouldn't have been able to come up with a lot of the stuff that he said. So that was pretty fun. Just listening to things that he said.
Oh yeah, and he's quite a little dancer too. I found that out in California.
Yeah,
turn on some jazz, and he just dances.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different things that'll get him going, And then in South Dakota, with the what was the song? He was screaming that song. That was one of my highlights of or just it was a Warriors call. He was like, play the intro music again, and then then he was screaming that. That was hilarious. Got a bunch of pictures and videos of that one.
Yeah, he is a pretty freaking cool kid. It cracks me up.
Yeah, I'm really fortunate to have met him and the family.
It's been fun to get to meet, a couple of the kids. I watch now all of them face to face, and kind of. It's cool. I mean, you get to know them over social media. You watch the videos and the lives they're doing now. But when you get to actually meet them, face to face and talk with them for a few, it's pretty cool to get to actually know their personalities.
Yeah, they're all pretty unique. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, Michael, the one-liners on the beach are killing me.
Oh my gosh, the beach night was hilarious and one that I will never forget. And I don't know what we did to up the size of mosquitoes. I have never seen mosquitoes bigger, you know. Riot was like, dang, those mosquitoes in Texas are big. And I was like, these are birds, Riot. I've never seen this big. You know, these are blood-sucking birds. Yeah, no, they were nuts. I remember it was like when we were leaving because the beach was about to swallow our campsite, or the ocean was about to swallow our campsite. When we were kind of rushing to leave.
Hey, you guys aren't familiar with how tides work?
We were, but we were just kind of like, we know that it'll be far enough out. Like we're like at least 15 feet away from the beach or from the ocean. We're like, it won't rise that much. And then Gavin knew better than us. He was like, I feel like the ocean's getting pretty loud. I think it's like by our campsite. And then like everybody was like, calm down, go to bed. You know, let's just go to bed. And he was persistent. And Riot was like, all right, you know, I'll get up. I gotta pee anyway. I'll let you know how it is. And then it was like he starts walking, and then it was like 2 steps away from the campsite, splash, splash, splash. Riot was like, we gotta go. It's time to get out of here. So, but yeah, no. While we were packing up, I remember you could just like do this and catch maybe 8 mosquitoes, and they're just enormous. Like you do this like fast enough, and they'll slow your hand down. Oh man.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, 2 a.m. Time to get off the beach.
Yep. And then so then that next morning we took a couple pictures in front of the Padre Island sign, and then split ways with Michael, which he went off to go do his own big old adventure, which was pretty cool. Very cool.
Sounds like you had one epic summer of adventures, though.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely a pretty unforgettable summer. Just a bunch of stuff happened, and then between all of the crazy adventures, the crazy rides that I was doing, it was like every weekend we're doing lot days. Which lot days, if you're not familiar, is whenever you go to. Normally it's on a Sunday because most businesses are closed. You don't get police calls as much, but it's basically whenever you go to a stunt lot and you just practice stunts. So it's like every time that I wasn't doing trips, every weekend we're going to the lot, you know, something's always happening at the lot. Or, you know, if we're not at the lot, we're fixing bikes, we're wrenching on stuff like that. I remember we met a good few people this summer too. We met this one guy at a big stunt ride. His name's Taylor. And he was like super randomly really good at wheelies. It was really weird because normally people who we start to wheelie Harleys, it's like you kind of got to build it up. You take a second, you know, you just start to get good at it, you know. But it was like I remember meeting him. It was like, dang, how long you been doing this? And he's like, riding Harleys 3 months. What did you just say? And he's like, yeah, you know, he's like, you know, he was pretty fresh, but he was killing it, you know. It's like we were all gassing him up, and we were like, yeah, dude, like you're killing it. I mean, just keep it up. But he was also making some mistakes, and we were kind of like he was hooking his foot under the brake arm. So if you're in a wheelie, you normally hook your foot on the left side. This dude was hooking it under his brake. So if you go too far back, you normally press the brake.
Control it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you go too far back, you don't have any brake, and then you're done. So sure enough, man, we were like, we were telling this guy, we were like, yeah, you know, like you just gotta like tighten up on some stuff. And another really good thing about lot day is it's a great place to practice before you start doing that stuff on the street, you know? And so this guy, Taylor, we're in downtown New Braunfels. This is like our 3rd time out riding with him. And he was like, got really excited, you know, not as much time practicing in the lots. And so he gets super excited, brings it back, loses it, and broke his tibula and fibula, you know?
Oh shit.
Yeah. And so I remember he's like just up standing in the road, looking like a flamingo, his leg all lifted off the ground. And we were like, we come over to like help him when he gets off the road. And I was like, how you feeling? He's like, I feel like I got 2 ankles. I looked and I was like, dog, it kind of looks like you got 2 ankles, bro. Yeah, we're gonna need an ambulance. So yeah, he was taken away in an ambulance. That was probably the worst injury I think we had all summer. So that's cool. I feel like we're fortunate to have that be the worst incident. Now he's part Terminator. He's got a titanium leg. But that kind of stuff is just kind of happening every weekend, just kind of like crazy stuff. And then anytime that we're not doing crazy stuff, I'm out traveling the country. So it was it was a really, really, really cool summer that I was really fortunate to have, where I met so many amazing people. So
That's awesome.
yeah, one of the people I do want to give a small shout out. One of the people that I was really fortunate to meet this summer, his name's Kevin. I met him at the Fast Life camp out this last year, but I've known him on the internet for the last like year, similar to how I knew you, right? Just kind of like we talk, and we just hadn't met in person yet. So I met him at the Fast Life camp out, which was in Arkansas. I think it was in May. And so ever since then, I'd seen him at like every event. He's from Austin. I had seen him at like every single event that I had been to, except for I think the Edinburgh one down by the border. It's like I just kept bumping into him, like, Kevin, what's up? A super good guy. It seems like he's always going out of his way to help people. And whenever I broke down heading to Paris on Friday, excuse me, I was kind of just documenting everything, right? I broke down, I took a video, posted it to my story. I knew exactly what happened. My clutch plates were going out over the last like hour. And then eventually it was just like, I'm in 6th gear. Then my motor just revs up really high. And then I was like, oh, shit. So I shifted down into 5th. And then nothing. 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, nothing. So then I parked my bike, clutch is out, it's on, and I'm just like shifting through the gears and it's not going anywhere. And I was like, yeah, my clutch plates are smoked. So,
yeah, it's like you don't know your geography very well, like your dad's correcting you.
It was Oklahoma. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, man. I'm geographically challenged like crazy. Yeah, no, I met Kevin in Oklahoma. So I'm just like, I'm documenting everything, right? The dude that met us. Yes. Kevin was the guy who reached out to Tommy Donnelly of Cowboy Austin on our final day. I think it was our final day of Gavin's tour. Kevin, he came out that last day and he was like, it might have been the second to last day, but he reached out to the guys at Cowboy Austin, and he reached out to the guys at Central Texas Harley, and because of him, they knew to expect us and kind of what to expect, and they were able to kind of give us a little bit more of a special trip. And it was really cool because since he reached out to Tommy Donnelly of Cowboy Austin, we were going to show up there and just take a picture in front of the store since we were going to get there before they opened. But Kevin let them know ahead of time, and we pulled up before they opened, and they had the doors open for us, and that was really cool. And they had like a little goodie bag for Gavin, and it was without Kevin that wouldn't have happened, and that's super, super cool. And the staff was really welcoming at Central Texas, which is it's like his home dealership. He's 3 minutes away from Central Texas, so that was a blast. And that was the first example of Kevin just kind of like going out of his way to help, that I had seen. So I'm broke down on the side of the road. I'm documenting everything. I have a bunch of people reaching out saying like, I wish I could help tonight, but I can't. Maybe tomorrow though. Like I should be able to help you out tomorrow. And I'm like, thank you so much. And since I have my tent, I'm really not that stressed out about it. If you've seen the stories, you see me just laughing, having a good time. I was like, it was just like in my head, I was like, it is what it is kind of situation. So he was sleeping. No, that was Kyle. Also a super, super good guy. Kyle met us in Beaumont. He was sleeping on his bike when we came out of the parking lot, which was the second visitor of our goat tour who was sleeping in the parking lot of a hotel. The first one being Gopher. But yeah, no, Kyle's a super, super good guy too. I'm going to Terralingo with him next weekend actually. Yeah, so I get a bunch of people reaching out. I'm on my way to Paris. I'm 4 hours away from the house and I'm broke down. I'm just under Dallas. I planned on sleeping in Sulphur Springs, but of course I didn't make it. So I'm like, I find a good spot that's like kind of safe on the side of the road where I'm just like, I'm gonna pop up my tent. The only thing that I was kind of stressed out about was that my phone, I didn't have a charger and I was on 30%. So typical Chase fashion, right? I'd pack super light and ultra light. I just didn't bring phone charger. So then Kevin reaches out and he's like, I got you. And I was like, what do you mean you got me? And he's like, I'm gonna figure something out for you. I was like, I don't know what that entails. Like, can you like elaborate, please? And he was like, I'm gonna get you I gotta find a ramp and then I'll come get you. And I was like, okay. I didn't ask him like today, tonight, tomorrow, today, what? Because I was just like, if he says he'll get me, he'll get me. Then I started telling people like, no worries, like Kevin's got it, So I had a couple of guys that were like, if you don't get anything figured out by like 3 tomorrow, 3 in the afternoon, then I'll for sure be able to help you. So I was like, okay, thanks, appreciate it. But then I got that text from Kevin, and I was like, cool, man. Thanks. And it's like I'm still on my phone. I'm still responding to people. Kevin knows my phone's about to die, and so Kevin sees that I'm active on social media, and he texts me. He says, "Dude, get off of your phone." He's like, I need to be able to call you." I was like, well like I'm texting people. He's like, "I got you covered, dude. I'm gonna find you a ramp. You don't have to worry about anything. I'll give you a call whenever I'm nearby." And I was like, "Okay, you know." He's like, I'm an hour and a half away from you. He's from Austin, and so I was like, "Okay, it's currently 12 in the morning or 12 at night, you know." So I was like, he's probably gonna be coming in the morning, and then he says like, "I'm going to get a ramp right now," and then I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Then I'm heading to you." I was like, "Dude, you'll get here at like 2." He's like, "Okay." I was like, "Okay," you know. And so sure enough, man, he was like, "Just get some shut eye, you know, like get some sleep. You already get your tent popped up, just go to bed." I was like, "Okay," you know, mind you, this is a guy I've met for brief moments, you know, and he pulls up. He said like he was like, I must have reached out to everybody that I've ever talked to in the motorcycle world ever to find a ramp for you, you know. And so he's like, then I had somebody who was in the Austin area say like, yeah, I got a ramp. So he went and got the ramp. He came to me. He shows up at like 2 a.m, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, good morning." And then you know, we load my bike up in his truck, and he takes me back to Austin. We show up. He gave me a place to stay for the night. You know, he brought my bike back to Austin. And then in the morning, he took me to Central Texas Harley to just like he really, really, really went out of his way to help me. We showed up at his house at 5 a.m, you know, and this was like an almost stranger, you know, and that's just one of the examples of just like an amazing person I've been able to meet an amazing person I've been fortunate enough to be able to meet this summer, you know. So that was a really, really cool experience. This was a couple of days ago. So
that's freaking cool, though. I mean, it's, you know, the community that we all enjoy so much, that we, you know, chit chat and talk so much about it can be very positive, and you know, everybody's kind of got everybody's back when you need it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was at Central Texas, and they told me the problem was much bigger than clutch plates because my basket was smoked. Whoop-de-doo, another performance part that I put on that was junk. But they said like, we don't have parts, so you kind of got to get a tow truck. And then I had another buddy from New Braunfels who, like, no hesitation, his name's Austin. I'm going to Terralingo with him as well. He picked up a U-Haul, no questions asked, and brought a trailer to me and took me back home, you know. So because of those two dudes, my bike's in my garage, and I'm not on the side of 35 anymore. So, you know, so that's really amazing.
There you go.
And
no, that's freaking cool.
Yeah. And I mean, and these guys didn't ask for anything in return. I tried to get them something in return, but they're both hard-headed and just happy to help, you know. So that's been very cool.
You know, it's, you know, kind of the way was, you know, some things go, you know, you get that, you know, the brotherhood, the sisterhood and everything, you know, it's do things to help people. It's not like we're, you know, asking for things in return. We do because that's what we do.
Yeah. And they both said, you know, like, I know you do it for me, you know, and they're completely right. I'd gladly do it for either of them or most of the people that I've met in this world. So in this motorcycle world. So
yeah, no, I totally get it. 100% agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
well,
shoot, buddy, this has been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Sharing some cool stories and having a good time.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. This was my first solo episode. Last time I was on, I was with my dad, and it was also a blast then.
That was fun. No, it is cool, and you know, I was really looking forward to this one. You know, it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. It was a good time, man.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to do it again sometime. Do some more trips and reminisce about them.
Yes, sir. You know what? We'll definitely have to do some more trips. I'm looking forward to seeing you again this year. So
yeah,
hopefully hopefully we're not like internet friends, you know, for another 2 years before we see each other again.
Yeah. No way, man. Kansas. It'll happen then if not before then, but for sure it'll be then.
Yeah. Very cool, man.
Well, shoot, man, let everybody know where they can, follow your adventures, go ahead and plug yourself here.
All right. I'm mostly active on Instagram. You're going to see a little bit more raunchy stuff on Instagram, right? So, the stunt stuff is a lot more into Instagram. No more breakdowns. No promises. You're gonna see a lot more of the stunt stuff on Instagram. I post quite a bit more on Instagram, which is at Chase_Setzer. Setzer spelled Setzer. And then Facebook. I try to keep my Facebook limited to people that I've met in real life, or at least have had conversations with over social media. I don't really like having a whole lot of strangers on Facebook because it's a little bit more personal. But the Instagram is a great place if you kind of just want to see what I'm up to, what I'm doing, or if you want to find a place to meet up, something like that. So yeah,
for sure, buddy. Well, thanks, man. Like I said, buddy, this has been so much fun. Glad we got to catch up, and and it's cool to hear some of your adventures and stories. Because I enjoy following your social media stuff, but it's also cool that I've got to meet you in person now, also. And man, you're a super cool dude, and I enjoy the friendship.
All right, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you appreciating me, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Appreciate me. So, right on, man. Hey guys, thank you for tuning into another milepost here with 112, and next week we got 113 with Frosty, aka Mandy in Galveston, as we're gonna reminisce. Did her first rally, which a lot of these ladies went and did the Valkyrie rally that Hopper and some other guys got together. This all women's rally, so we're gonna hear all about that next week. So, hey, tune in next week and catch up on milepost 113. So until then, hey, stay safe, have fun, enjoy the open road.